Welcome to Dead Man Talking. Tonight's story is from the incredible mind of Insomniac Writer over on Reddit No Sleep. And as ever, please do let me know what you thought down below in the comments box. Please do like and share. Well, it really does help build the channel and our community further. And why not hashtag TeamFEAR and DMT's Cryptid Crew. And so, with that aside, let's get into tonight's story, entitled If You See a Structure in the Woods, Leave It Alone. Let's get straight into that. Hello everyone, Jethro here. I'm still in Paris, but not for long. In a few days I'll be back home together with Molly. But I'm not writing this to tell you about my romanticism with Molly. I'm here to tell you how I met that asshole. As you know, well, if you didn't, you will now. I'm a hunter for the paranormal, demons, cryptids, and all other ingredients that form this shit soup, my life. I get contracts from people all around the globe. Hunt this and we'll discuss the pay afterwards, or I think I accidentally summoned a demon, I need help. Now how you accidentally summon one of Satan's slaves is beyond my thinking, but some people are, apparently, dumb enough to do that. How do I get the contracts, you ask? Well, through a site on the deep web. It's pretty hidden, but not impossible to find, and I take care of any unwanted guests, so it's probably the safest space on the platform. This site also led to my unwanted friendship with Asaph. It was 9 PM on a Tuesday, and I was fixing some looks on my site to make it more aesthetic, as if anyone cared. My computer made a ding sound. I looked in the bottom left corner, and sure enough, a chat box was there. Hello Jethro, my name's Asaph. I heard a lot about you, especially that you are very talented in paranormal shit. And so I decided this was the best place to come. I need help regarding a stone formation. It doesn't sound bad, I know, but bear with me. Last week, it wasn't here, and 2 days ago, it was. It also came packed with some hooded figures that always sit in the middle, and I don't like the uninvited guests on my property. I also work in the same range as you, but I'm afraid that if those hooded things attack, I won't be able to kill them alone, so I want you to help me take care of them. I'll attach a link below to my location. We'll discuss more here. I hope you get back to me soon. How charming, I thought, my name circulating around. I was doubting pressing the link it sent me. What if it was a virus or a DDoS attack, IP tracker? Well, there were many possibilities, but my instinct told me that it was fine, and I'd be damned if I didn't listen to the voice that saved me millions of times before. I opened the link. I went straight to an image satellite view from Google Maps. The location was a national park, and I had visited there before. Beautiful scenery, combined with fresh air. Well, it feels good to have once in a while. Knowing he wanted me to get there as soon as possible, I decided to sleep that night and pack up in the morning. I replied to his message with a quick, "I'll be over soon," before closing my laptop. I woke up at 7 sharp, made myself some coffee. The trip was 3 hours away, and I'd surely need some. I packed up everything I would need, got in my Ford truck, and drove to Asaph. Well, the drive was peaceful. The roads pretty empty since it was so early in the morning. I admired the trees as I was passing by, while listening to old rock music. I finally got there, starving, and someone was already waiting for me. "You Jethro?" asked the man without missing a beat. He looked stressed. He wasn't very tall, maybe 5'7", but was very well built. He had a scar on his left side of his face. His hair, a messy black tar color, was waving in the wind. His face was freshly shaved, and some perfume from his body was picked in the wind's dance. "Yeah, you Asaph?" I responded the same way he asked. He nodded and handed me his hand, waiting for a shake. I took it firmly and gave a small smile. "Come, let's get to my cabin. We'll discuss there." Well, he signaled for me to follow him as he already was making his way to the dirt path. "I sure isn't wasting any time," I mumbled to myself. I stood my place for a quick second. I forgot my weapons. I ran to the backside of my car, grabbed my bags and decided to take out my revolver, just in case. Well, we walked on the path for about 10 minutes before he went off of it. "Just a little more," he said, looking back at me. He saw the gun. We reached a small wooden cabin that seemed so out of place, in the middle of the tall bark trees. Next to the cabin were some cut logs, held in place by thick, weathered ropes. We went inside. A fireplace was dimly burning some wood. Next to it, more small cut logs, laid waiting for their demise. It was cozy. There was also a bookshelf full of books, mostly classic and old, but there were some new ones. Next to it, a couch, perfect length for a fireplace to keep you warm, but also not burn you. On the left side was a bed where, I guessed, Asaph slept. The bed was made from more logs, refined and oiled, so they looked shiny and fine. "You want a drink?" asked Asaph before pulling out half an empty bottle of scotch. "Too early for me," I replied, kindly denying his offer. "But starving if you have some food." "Oh, sure," he replied, going to the freezer and pulling out some frozen, round pre-cooked beef. He placed 2 pieces on a porcelain plate and set it next to the fire. "While those warm up, let's talk about the situation," suggested Asaph with a warm and kind tone. For a man doing my job, he sure was cheerful. "Tell me about it," I said, agreeing with what he said. "Well, I was chilling in my cabin early morning about a week or so ago. I have a few morning folks who like to take walks through here. It's safe and the morning fresh air makes for a good waker. And I got a knock on my door, followed by 2 more. I was one of the men who walks here. I welcomed him in, asked him what's up. Well, he told me that the stone formation I'd built was pretty damn good. He just wanted to come and congratulate me. Well, I looked at him with an eyebrow raised before asking. He stopped his tail before getting up and going to the beef. I was warm now. He placed the 2 beef on the 2 round buns that already had cheese on them and handed them to me. Hamburgers. Neat. I thought, while starting to chomp down on them like a hungry dog. I was a hungry dog. He continued, while sipping his scotch from time to time and keeping his red lips moist. Well, like I was saying, I asked him about the stone formations he was talking about, since I knew well I didn't build any. Neither was I a sleepwalker architect. He looked at me confused, before telling me to come with him. We walked for about a half an hour before reaching them. And sure enough, tall stone pillars, like the Stonehenge formation, stood in the woods and rose up from the ground, looking like they were always there. And I was even more confused now, wondering how they appeared there. He chuckled proudly at the fact that he was right and that I was wrong, but my stomach started to turn for some reason. Well, something was wrong about them. Where they stood, nothing got close. No animals, no vegetation. It was just the ground's fire circling this weird structure. I got closer to it. My knees felt melty, like I could barely walk. My hands were floppy. Well, it somehow weakened me. I went back to the folk as fast as I could and told him to get out of here. His proud expression turned to fear. He knew I was serious when I started yelling. Well, he went home and I closed the park to follow the next second. Ever since then, I kept an eye on them. Sometimes I hear mumbling, like someone singing some type of song, but the noises come from seemingly thin air. I decided to reach out to you when the hoods first appeared. He finished the story as I finished my food. Well, it was good. I stared to the floor, my mind trying to figure out what was going on from what he had told me. And I finally got an idea. Did the hoods only appear during the night? Yeah. Alright then. Can we go to the formation now? I asked him. His eyes changed. A worried look was written in them, but he agreed nonetheless. Sure. Just don't get too close. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry, I told him with a chuckle. He was dead serious, my chuckle slowly dying in his piercing stare. We walked for about 30 minutes, as he had said, before we reached them. And I stared at them for a second before being interrupted by Asaph. What do you think? The same look of concern plastered on his face. I can't tell much of her. Don't get close. Also, you didn't mention the candles that were around the middle of this thing. What candles? He said before looking closer, and he indeed saw what I'd seen. Small red candles were placed tightly around the structure and around the middle. His face said it all. Can I get closer? I asked him, breaking his chain of thoughts. Well, it's your funeral, he said. A grim way of saying yes, I thought. As I got closer, I felt everything slow down. Air, motion, sounds. Indeed, it was weakening me. Not enough to nail me down, but enough to slow me. It was like gravity got heavier. I got to the middle of it and looked around the stone pillars. They looked like polished stone. No cracks, no signs of being weathered. On the sides were symbols going from top to bottom. Only once have I seen them. They were demonic symbols. Their roles are, as you expected, to help summon hellish creatures or portals. The last time I saw one of these, it didn't turn out exactly good. I turned back to go to Asaph, but something stopped me.
Leave while you can,
came a hushed and raspy whisper. It didn't sound like Asaph, and I looked around, confused for its source, but all I found was the forest and the confused look of Asaph. What are you looking for? Something whispered to me. I told him, signaling him to be quiet. He didn't speak for a second. When he saw I couldn't find anything, he said quietly, Do you remember the sounds without a source? I did remember. It wasn't a good sign. Something made its home in the structure, and it didn't like visitors. Why did it whisper to you? He asked curiously. Leave while you can. What the hell? He asked, fear starting to build in him. There was also symbols, demonic, carved into the stone. My guess, we're dealing with some hell worshippers, I told him, and his eyes widened and his face turned pale. Don't you mean Satan worshippers? His words stumbled. Those are different. They only worship Satan. These ones are trying to summon a portal or hellish creatures. Usually people die when that happens. I informed him. All the joy that was in him left. Well, how do we deal with them? We need to wait till it's night, so they can come to worship. Summon. Whatever. We attack them. Leave no survivors. They don't know that we know about them, do they? I asked, glaring at him. No, man. I've been looking at them from a distance. He responded without missing a beat. Perfect. We hide somewhere near here, prepare our guns, and ambush them. Sounds like a plan. He reassured me. And for how scared he seemed, he sure as hell was brave. Night came quickly upon us, but we were ready. Out of nowhere they came. There were 5, hoods up, covering their facial features. They didn't look old nor young, and judging from their clothes they were about 20 to 30. After looking around, most likely making sure nobody was spying on them, they sat down in a circle around the middle, and they started holding hands while bowing their heads down. This was the time to attack. I looked at Asaph, meeting his cold glare. Ready? I whispered to him. Ready as I'll ever be, he whispered back, although he tried to hide it. Fear creeped on his words. When we got up, tiptoeing closer until we had a clear view of our targets, and all hell broke loose. Asaph blasted the head of one of the hooded things, making its limp body hit the ground with a thud. The others looked up at us, and for the first time we saw their faces. They weren't human. Their faces were mutilated, empty black voids looking at us, consuming our souls. Their faces were pale, no colour could be seen on them. Their mouths opened sideways, rows of small, jagged teeth ready for flesh. Their ears were slit, with strange symbols marked on them, like they were marked on the rest of their face. What the hell are these things, man? Shouted Asaph at me, fear overwhelming him. I have as much of a fucking idea as you do, I yelled back. We need to stay calm. Don't let them get through you. Harder than it sounds, he said, his voice now trembling. Was he about to cry? I wondered to myself. They hissed at us for a few seconds before attacking. They were fast, too fucking fast. They took advantage of the trees, climbing on them to pounce from above. I managed to shoot one in midair with my shotgun. Only 3 were left. Asaph managing to kill another one shortly. Although they were fast and damn fucking ugly, they weren't very resilient. Little did we know, the worst was about to come. Before killing the last 2, one of them hissed at us again, and this time it was intelligible.
We told you to leave. Now you'll burn in hell.
The thing started laughing hysterically. The second one started saying some sort of chant, and at first the word sounded normal, but as the chant went longer, it got considerably faster. Its eyes turned into their sockets, now bleeding red liquid as it started floating. Strange and visible energy was circling him in an endless loop. Me and Asaph couldn't help but glare at the scene. We were mortified, frozen in place, our bodies refusing to do anything, and in the background the first creature kept repeating,
Yes, yes, we're going home. We're going home.
The creature was now around 10 feet from the ground, while suddenly everything stopped. Sounds, movement, gravity, blood flow. The demon fell down, hitting the ground hard, bone cracking coming from his body. We expected it to be dead, but it wasn't. A few seconds later, some sort of portal opened. We could only see fire inside of it. The sound that came from it was worse. Millions upon millions of tortured screams shrieked in a painful symphony. My ears were hurting. I looked at Asaph, and he was trying to cover his ears too, but it didn't work. The sound was too strong, and we were fucked unless we did something. We did the only thing we could do, shoot at the portal as much as we could. The bullets were landing, but they were going inside, and we remember the 2 creatures. The first one was still laughing, and I put a shot in its eyes. Fuck you, asshole. Asaph was about to do the same to the second one, but it got up. It floated again, only now it was even less human than before. And as it floated, arms thrown wide in a T-pose, it started blubbering something. Another fucking chant? I yelled, annoyed. I looked at Asaph. His gaze met mine. Something was wrong. The creature suddenly stopped, and when it did, Asaph shot at me, barely missing me. What the fuck are you doing? I roared, tears starting to form uncontrollably in my eyes. You're going to die for your sins, you mortal pleb, yelled Asaph back, and then it clicked. The demon had took control of Asaph's mind, making him try to kill me. I couldn't bring myself to shoot him for some reason. He was still human inside. I needed to kill the creature. My task only got harder when from the portal 2 skinwalkers and 2 wendigos came. Oh, give me a fucking break, will you? I shouted at the creature, and deep down, I really wanted it to give me a break. The thing only laughed at me, staring at me, its stare saying,
See you in hell, idiot.
The demon went to the portal, closing it, and it was me versus everything. I checked my ammo bag, and thank God I always bring more than I expect is needed. The wendigos pounced at the same time. The smell of decay and death hit in my nose like a fire truck. I barely managed to dodge before the skinwalkers followed them. One of the walkers threw me to the ground. Luckily, I had a tight grip on my shotgun. I shot 2 rounds in the ground while trying to aim at them. I managed to do it, and I shot one of the skinwalkers straight in its face, making it flop to the ground, and its face turned into a fleshy and bloody mush. The others shrieked angrily. My friend, snuck behind me, shooting at me. Motherfucker hit my shoulder, but luckily it wasn't with the shotgun he had. It was his pistol. I don't know what he did to the shotgun. I squealed in pain, shoving him to the ground. I'm not gonna kill you, asshole. I squeaked at him before I got thrown into a tree by a wendigo. My shotgun fell to the ground, but luckily I managed to flip my rifle from behind and fully auto-in the Wendigo's body. It fell on top of me, its weight felt like crushing my bones. And finally, I managed to shove it away from me and looked up, seeing the demon laughing while applauding. He was toying with me, and this was a theatre play to him. I shot at the demon, but he flew past the bullets, raising a finger up and moving it to the sides in a no motion. Asaph got up and shot at me, but my adrenaline and fear allowed me to use the Wendigo's carcass as a shield, throwing it on him after he stopped shooting. This would give me enough time to deal with the creatures. The skinwalker rushed at me like an angry bull. I just got away, making it hit a tree. The tree made a loud breaking sound, its leaves hushing from the shock. And it hit the tree so hard it fell on him. The hellish creature looked back at me, hunger written all over its eyes. It shrieked loudly, trying to get the tree off, but it didn't have time, as I got my revolver and emptied 6 silver bullets into his head. How the fuck am I alive? I mumbled to myself, trying to breathe. I managed to catch my breath. The Wendigo sat still. The demon must have been controlling it as well, and he wanted this show to go on a little longer. Alright, you stupid asshole. Let's make a deal. I tried pleading to the demon through heavy breaths. Surprisingly, he looked interested in my words. A low growl came from his mouth.
Go on.
If I manage to kill your last pet, I said, pointing to the Wendigo, you leave my friend alone and give him back his mind. After that, me and you will fight. If you win, you can have my soul. If I win, you die. He stared at me for a second, contemplating the offer.
Do you think a mortal like you can kill me? Those silver bullets you have won't do much to me.
He was right. A demon his tier was almost immune to silver bullets, but I had other ammunition that he didn't know about. Well, it is the only fucking chance I have for me and my friend here to leave this place alive, right? He smiled at me, basically answering my question.
Alright, you put on a good show for me, so I'll give you this one chance.
Thank fucking God, I said to myself. I went to grab my shotgun, reloading it, and I contemplated shooting directly at him, but I decided against it. When I was done preparing, I looked at the thing, nodding. The demon kept my friend standing still, in the air, next to him. I looked at my shoulder, hoping the adrenaline would get me through the pain. The thing released the Wendigo. The hungry pest wasted no time pouncing at me. The ground shook as he ran after me. He was strong. I slid on the ground, him jumping over me. I turned back to him and shot 2 times, one hitting his chest and one missing. Come on, Jeffro, concentrate, I mumbled. The demon was smiling, thinking I was done for. Me and the creature started going in a circle, and both of us waiting for one of us to make a move. The Wendigo fake charged at me, making me shoot again. The gun was made for close range and we were mid-range, so I missed. He charged again, for real this time, but I managed to dodge. Alright, you dirty bastard. If that's how you want to play, that's how I play. I yelled at the thing, throwing my shotgun to the ground and grabbing my rifle. And I didn't waste any more time. I was done playing games. I started blasting at it, and before the Wendigo even had a chance to react, its body was full of holes. It looked like a shitty puppet when I was done, and it fell to the ground, its last stare giving me a chill. And the demon looked at me, but for the first time I could see a trace of emotion. He was impressed. A deal is a deal, I yelled at him, pointing towards Asaph. He shrugged at me before putting him down.
I won't give him back his mind. If you kill me, he turns to normal anyways. Plus, I don't want him attacking me.
The demon told me, a wide smile on his face. Fine, just put him down. let's get this over with, I told the demon, trying to sound brave. Truth is, I was tired. So fucking tired. And the pain of my bruises and wounds started to creep all at once, my adrenaline barely keeping them in its lead. As the demon was letting Asaph down, I loaded silver bullets blessed by an actual angel. Again, a story for another time. I didn't have many, but I believed enough to take the demon down. And as I got ready, so did the demon. And he attacked. He was ruthless, its claws moving quick and swiping from side to side. It almost ripped one of my arms off, but I managed to stumble out of its way and get in some distance. But it was no use. The pain had overtook me. I laid, sitting down on the cold, hard forest ground and leaning on the tree.
"Any last words, mortal?"
asked the demon, sick excitement leaving its mouth. Yeah. I paused to catch my breath. "Die, you asshole," I finally muttered out, bracing for the impact. The demon looked at me confused before bringing his clawed hands upwards in a swift motion. I didn't have time to finish. As I was laying there, helpless, I heard a yelling from behind the demon before the gunshots accompanied it. It was Asaph. He rushed to my side, but I didn't hear what he said, since I had passed out. I woke up at the hospital, apparently 2 days later. Well, that's what Asaph told me anyway. I stayed in the hospital for a few more months before I recovered. I had a broken arm, a broken ankle, and my back was badly damaged, barely able to reach my spine. The official cause was that me and Asaph were cutting down trees and one had fell on me. And as for the gunshot wound, I bribed the staff with $5,000 since they needed some new equipment anyways. When I was finally let out, Asaph invited me to his new place. He'd sold the property and moved further inside the city. "Hey man, come inside," said Asaph, moving from the way and opening the door fully. His new apartment was pretty big but also cozy. He sat me on the couch in front of a glass table. A wide flat-screen TV was attached to the wall across from the couch. "How have you been?" he asked me, looking me up and down, noticing the scar that a bullet had left in my skin. "Well, other than sitting in that boring hospital for months, I can't complain," I said with a chuckle. "No kidding. I don't know how you're alive after what you told me happened." What can I say? I'm a tough asshole," I replied, keeping the bright mood. His eyes fixed on me, and they got a little dark, making me worry. "Also, sorry for, trying to kill you," he said. He was honest. His words were warm and came with a stutter. "Well, that wasn't you, so don't worry about it," I said, reassuring him that it was all right, and he truly felt sorry. "So, you sold the national park?" I finally asked. Yeah. After what happened in those woods, I never want to go back there or in a forest," he said. The regret of selling it was written on his face. You gotta do what you gotta do," I said. He smiled before saying, "I guess." "Oh yeah, well, since you're so tough, we should team up," he said. I knew this was coming. "Yeah, it'll be cool, but I work alone," I said, denying his offer. Bummer. Guess this is where we part ways then. But you owe me for saving you," he said, a grin forming on his face. "I can't complain. I guess I do owe you," I said, a little annoyed, but what was I supposed to say? "How did you save me, anyways?" "Oh, right. You blacked out. The demon was so concentrated on you, on his pride, his victory, that the spell or whatever he had on me became weak. I somehow managed to snap from it. I took your rifle. It was on the ground next to the demon. He didn't see me. I blasted the rifle at his head. It collapsed on the ground after a few shots. I don't know what bullets you had in it, but they did wonders. I got you in my car and rushed you to hospital." Jesus Christ. Well, thank you, man, I said, looking at him. And for the first time since we had met, I didn't see him as an arsehole. He took a pause, contemplating what to say next, and he finally spoke. Great. Well, I'll contact you when I need your help, he said, walking with me to the door. I see you then, I said, exiting the apartment and heading home. I took a break for a month. I still needed my mental health to come back, plus I didn't get much sleep in the hospital. And right when my month ended, Asaph contacted me about the house I told you about. Wow. Certainly another one. Wow. Creepy and refreshing story there from the incredible mind of Insomniac Writer over on Reddit, No Sleep. Huge thank you, Insomniac, for allowing me to narrate your story on the show. Really did enjoy this story very much, and I certainly look forward to more of your work in the future. Well, guys and girls as ever, you know the drill. Please do let us know what you thought down below in the comments box. Please do like and share. It really does help both the channel and our community further. And why not hashtag TeamFEAR and DMT's Cryptid Crew. If you're an aspiring writer, want to get in touch with me at the contact email, which is as on screen. contactthedeadone@gmail.com. I really look forward to hearing from you. I hope you guys all had a fantastic week at school or work, or perhaps you're studying. And a big thank you to the Cryptid Crew for your patience, as I've been a little bit under the weather this week. But do not fear, lots planned for the week ahead. Lots of exclusives and extra long content. As ever guys, a big thank you for your likes, comments and shares. I really do appreciate it. But above all, remember, be safe, not sorry.